How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to recreate this hero animation in Framer. I'm going to show you how to do it, including the mute unmute function, the letter animations, and the video scroll, because as you can see, it disappears. I cannot see it again. Only if I refresh the page do I see it. First and foremost, how do you get all your assets? Inspect the page and look for the video, which is here. Open a new tab and download. Here are the letters, and they're well aligned so you can easily place them. And here's the vector file for the arrow. There are multiple ways to get vector files from a code format like this. You just copy the element, place it into a Figma plugin that imports vectors, and then export it as a vector and put it in Framer. But I'm going to show you the fastest way to do it, and that is through a website called extract.pix. Just copy the URL and get into extract.pix. We can extract all the assets, and we can also filter by, for example, PNGs to get our letters. We can filter by SVG to get our arrow, our logo for the navbar. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to recreate this layout. So this is going to be very quick. And I'm just going to create a frame that I'm going to turn into a stack. And the distribution is going to be start, and the width is obviously going to be set to fill. Now here we are going to need another frame for the navbar, and I'm going to turn this into a black fill with the same fill. I'm going to show you how to have the logo centered and the other two menu buttons, and there are multiple ways to achieve that. Let's use a similar font. I found this font in Framer, which is free, so that's nice. I'm not going to have you pay for fonts, especially for a tutorial. So here's artists, and let's just change the font. And in order to make our life easy, we can just create two styles for this tutorial. So I'm going to choose a bold and a, and let's go for 18 pixels. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Just going to call it this is just going to be a body. And here we go, artists. And the second one is going to be info/contact, right? I think that's what it was. All right, stack space between. This is actually going to be absolute with, there we go. And we're going to add a padding of 30 right, 30 left. And now for the center frame, this is going to be our logo container. Logo container. Here's my logo. Place it into the container. Option H to center it horizontally, and Option V to center it vertically. Now, for the container, we do not need any fill. And this is the kind of the layout we're going for. For the height, maybe we can go up to 150 VH, and we can also add some text just for the sake of it. So I'll add the text web page, and I will go for this style and just change the color, and maybe just go for what, 50. And increase the gap. Now we're going to create the video overlay and the letter animation. Video, we need a video component. All right, and let me place our video here. Optimize it beforehand, and let me do this as well. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now let's place the video component in our desktop stack. The only thing that's going to be absolute and video component 0, 0, height 100% viewport height, Now let's create a component. All right, video component. First things first, we need the arrow and the mute unmute function. Mute unmute, we need the text. Let's say unmute. All right, here it is. Let's go to our text. Perfect. Maybe go for, maybe let's stick to 30. Let's stick to 30 for now. And let's just add the arrow. I'm just gonna place it right here. Absolute 30 bottom. How do we create the mute unmute function? Create another variant, call this mute. Mute. The video is not going to be muted, and the volume, let's go for 69%. Nice. All right. Now, interactions. When we press the unmute text, set variant 2, and when we press the mute variant, when we press the mute text, variant 1. And very important, the transition instant for both. All right, let's set our Z index to around 3. So here we are. When I press the unmute button, it obviously adds sound. We're gonna make it so that when we scroll, we get to see the web page, but the video disappears. So how do we do that? Well, I'm gonna set this stack to sticky, and very important, for sticky to work in Framer, we need to change all the parents overflow to visible. So that's what we did. This is going to be around 150 viewport. In order to see the change, let me add more web page stacks. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate these a couple of times, remove the nav, just keep these that I'm gonna center, and just keep these, and there you go. Here's our effect, but we need to make this taller. So let's go for 150 viewport height. And here's the effect in action. All right, we need to make sure the video disappears once we've scrolled past a point. And this is going to be part of the second thing, which is going to be adding the text animations. I'm going to create the component for the letters animation, which I'm going to call letters animation. All right, I'm going to place it somewhere here. It's not even relevant, trust me. All I need to do is set a Z index of 3 or higher. Let's go for 4. And I want this to be positioned absolute. Once again, 0, 0 on the left and right side with a height of, once again, 100% viewport height. Let's remove the fill, and this is going to be a component. All right, make sure you name your letters properly after importing them so you know which one is which. That's going to be very important for the animation. Let's wrap them into a frame. And center them, and I'm gonna call this I'm gonna call this letters container, just to manipulate them easier. All right, and I'm gonna place this thing into the letters animation thing, center it horizontally and vertically, and now I'm gonna make this a component. And here's our fun part. In order to create the animation, you just, once again, just look at it slowly. See what happens. So for each and every frame, the letters are just growing further and further apart. And at some point, they're also changing their opacity until it reaches 0. So that's exactly what we're going to do. If you know your way around components, you might have already guessed how this works. This is going to take an insane amount of work. So if you have the time, you can go ahead and replicate the effect frame by frame. it's going to take a lot of time, and the more frames, the more accurate it will be. For the sake of this tutorial, we are just going to recreate the effect so that it looks kind of the same, but I'm not going to create as many components as you might want for your website because I don't need this effect. So, okay. First foremost, set the containers overflow to visible, and let's go about, I'm gonna keep a variant called static just for the sake of it. And now we're gonna start with variant 2, and we're just gonna do exactly what you think we would. Right, just move the letters further and further apart. And now I have a couple tips. First foremost, select multiple letters and move them. As you can see, some of them are closer, and we're just gonna eyeball it for now. Another tip, you want to move faster, press shift and arrow keys. You're changing more pixels, and I mean the position. And you know, as I said, this is just a tutorial. You just want to understand the concept, because you're going to be doing this for a long time. You're going to be duplicating components and just moving these letters. To move faster is, the order doesn't matter because they're all positioned absolute. This is first and this is last. So tab switches to the next element, and so then shift tab shifts to the previous element. So let's say we want to move D, we move it, and then in order to go to O, we just press shift tab, goes to O. I've done this obviously off camera, and this is the end result. And now for the last variance, just select all the letters and slowly decrease the opacity. I started with 6, and I just lowered the opacity. Same with 7. Just incrementally change it until you reach about 0. And as you can see, I've cleverly named my components, my animation components. I've named them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, why? The reason why I named my components that way is because we are going to create a frame called, which is going to be positioned absolute. As you can see, I have tiny frames. I found the sweet spot to be around 24 pixels of height, and they're going to be named into the, so go into the scroll section and just name them 1, 2, 2. Basically, just create as many frames as components you have for the letters animation. And I'm going to create another frame, last one, which is going to be called disappear. Go into the effects and just add scroll variance. And we're going to select section and view and the center of each frame, and section 1 set to variant 1, and just go about your business. As you can see, my animation is not pixel perfect, but once again, this is just for the sake of speed. So the last thing we need is for these to disappear once we scroll, because as we can see, for now it doesn't happen. But this is the animation recreated, the same with the video, but we want this to disappear once we scroll, so we cannot scroll back up. In order to do that, we just create a into animation triggers last frame called disappear. Here it is, and I would go for a height of around maybe 240. You gotta play around with this. First, select our video and add a scroll animation. When the viewport hits the when the top of the viewport hits the section, we want this to disappear. We want the effect to go, the opacity to go to 0, no replay, that's very important, and no enter effect. So when we scroll, we see that it does happen, but we need to scroll further down. And we can adjust this by adjusting the height, either the height of the frame or the offset Y. Let's try to work with the height and try maybe 169 pixels. See what we get. We still don't get what we desire. So maybe let's work with 100 pixels. See if this works. Maybe this is better. Yeah, wait, what if we try 69? I think that's our winner. Yes, as you can see, 69 was our winner. Nice. And now we're gonna do the same for the letters animation. Just add a scroll animation, section in view. Once again, top of the viewport hits the section, disappear section. No replay, no enter effect, just an exit. Let's see your effect. There it is, guys. All recreated in Framer, no code overrides, beginner friendly. This was a quick tutorial showing you how to recreate the scroll effect, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to create the tutorial, and I'll see you soon.